Yeah, it just, I'm hoping in your guys' mind you can link those tectonic elements, link what we're seeing out in the coast with the Sierra Nevadas, right? That they are related to each other in this sort of tectonic transect. Okay, so number 10, after we talked about the Coast Range ophiolite accretionary wedge, we started to talk about the rest of the stratigraphy of the transverse ranges. The transverse ranges, I mean the ranges that are from LA all the way, out here in San Diego. So local strat. So the local stratigraphy, here it's largely exposed in a dip slope, right? In the sense that we basically have all of this range dipping towards us, and we go from the oldest rocks in the core of the mountains, right, the core of the San Ynez Mountains, out to here. We're going younger and younger and younger until we get this little syncline that we're sitting in, right in the basin of Santa Barbara, and this thrust is right on campus. Okay, so let's see, if I'm going to draw a stratigraphic column here, I've got a stratigraphic column. I would draw it, the Franciscan. And I don't expect you to be able to sketch out a whole stratigraphic column, but I do expect you that, like, if you eventually see a geological map or a stratigraphic column of the transverse ranges, you broadly know what environments they were formed in. So above the Franciscan, what we have right up here is the Jalama / Espada. I gave you guys all those nice stratigraphic columns on handouts and on the field guides. And then there was this unconformity that you guys saw in the field, which placed the Juncal with that little carbonate on top of the Franciscan, cutting all that stratigraphy out. Right? So that unconformity that was basically Eocene in age, right? That unconformity is approximately 50 MA, cutting out a lot of the Cretaceous. That unconformity corresponds in time to the Laramide. So again, in the stratigraphy we see here, which are mostly these deep water sediments, these turbidites, right? We see a big gap in time, which we can relate to as this whole fork region's uplifted. Remember, all these are deposited, the first rocks we see in the core of the ranges, these are all deposited out here in the fork, right? A deep water sediment. Is that clear to all you guys? That's stuff being deposited out there. Okay, so we went up above the Juncal. Juncal is also interesting, remember, because that was a big source of a lot of mud for the landslides. So it's a very, very muddy unit. And then above the Juncal, we saw that big, massive sandstone unit, right? Those deep water turbidites that were clean sands, that massive created beds. That's Matilaha. It's mostly Eocene in age. And then above that, we had the Cozy Dell. Goes back into mostly shale turbidites. Again, this is mostly turbidites. What are turbidites? Yeah, usually graded beds forming in turbidity currents. The sort of predominant sediment type on continental margins and slopes, forarcs, when you're below wave base, not on a shelf, and you just have gravity flows coming down. So if we looked off today, if we went off the continental shelf, off towards deep water, we can start to see all this material being redeposited and coming off in big turbidity currents or graded beds. Each one of those, a lot of times you'd see these 1-inch beds, and they'd have to be graded. They can be 1 inch, they can be several meters, but each of them is deposited in an event. And then you have shale that's being deposited for tens of thousands of years. That's just as thick. Yeah?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, what's underlying the Juncal there?
That's just Franciscan, right? Those are the oldest rocks we see in the range here, are Franciscan.
Oh, what's it's like adjacent /
Oh, Espada. I did that because In the San Rafaels, remember, there's another unit called the Espada there. So Jalama is what we see in the San Ynez, but the San Rafaels, the lowest you can see the Espada. And that they're both just the Cretaceous portion of the forearm. Okay, so we've got the Cozy Dell and the cold water. And then there's another unconformity. So these are really all turbidites formed on a slope. Right? And the cold water, if you remember on the field trip, we started to see big cross beds. We started to see oyster beds. Right? These were formed in a marine shelf. These were in shallower water. So basically, if we were going basically local sea level, we would have sort of shallowing here. This is going to be from shallow to deep. And then we have, after this shallowing into the 50 MA unconformity, we basically go deep again. All right, and then we shallow up to the cold water. And we've got unconformities that are developed at cold water sesame time. And this is approximately 35 to 30 MA. These unconformities start to develop. Okay, so we go from the slope setting to a shelf setting, so a continental shelf, to basically a non-marine setting. And it's in that non-marine setting, when we get shallower, right, that we see all those conglomerates you saw on the field trip, all the red beds. Okay, that's we're back up on the continent again. Okay, so we go shallowing, deepening, shallowing. All right, and so why do we shallow going up into the Sesame? What's starting to happen at about 30 MA in those map views we drew?
Spreading centers getting closer.
Yeah, so we're getting younger and younger oceanic crust that's being subducted. Why would younger and younger oceanic crust cause uplift in the forearm?
So it's, the slab is gonna start to
Yeah.
go up and down.
Yeah, so why does it get shallower when you subduct younger oceanic crust?
It's less dense, it's not hasn't cooled down quite as much.
It's still hot and buoyant, and so basically the younger crust that you're subducting, it tends to be the shallower subduction you have. Older crust with time, it cools, and also the replacement reactions that occur within that altered oceanic crust cause it to get denser and denser and denser over time. And as it's denser and denser and denser, and it subducts, the angle gets steeper, steeper, steeper. When it gets steeper, 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 you've got more extension and subsidence in your forearm. If you get younger, on the other hand, and you're getting more buoyant crust over time, it gets shallower and shallower and shallower until you finally subduct a ridge. And the ridge is not going to go down anywhere. And then you just blow up the margin. That's what we basically did over the past 30 million years. We just blow it up. All right. Okay, so I've seen our non-marine sesame red beds. This is complicated by the fact that about 35 million years ago, ice initiated on Antarctica, and so they're probably somewhere in there as a signal of what we would call eustatic sea level or global sea level. But remember, everything we're looking at is local, so we're seeing a local manifestation of both the tectonic effects and some of these glacial effects. But we know that these are predominantly the tectonic effects because they're happening on a time scale that's much larger than the eustatic fluctuations, which happen on a relatively short time scale. Okay, so then above the CESB, we have a couple of units that you guys didn't see because they're crappy units that are rarely exposed. But oh, the Vaqueros are crappy. It should be nice to rocks. I'm going to hurt the rocks' feelings. So the Vaqueros and the Rincon. So I told you guys not to buy a house on the Rincon. I expect you to pay me for my consulting, get my consulting fee after this. I guess you're paying my consulting fee by paying your classes. So this shale, it both has a lot of uranium, radon, but also it, when there's a little landslide, a little shaking, all the houses slump on it. So all the slope you're seeing out here, it's usually the Sespe and the Vaqueros are the last resistant pit, and right where it gets recessive, when you quit seeing rock outcrop, that's this transition of the Vaqueros to the Rincon. And then above the Rincon, we have our Monterey, my personal favorite unit around here. And then another unconformity, and we've got the Sisquoc / Santa Barbara Formation / also the Casitas, all coming in different places, unconformity on the Monterey. Okay, so what does the Monterey record? We basically shallow it up to the Sespe, and then after Sespe and Vaqueros, we start to deepen again in the Monterey. Why do we deepen in the Monterey?
Transgression.
Okay, it's a transgression. So why are we transgressing? Why are we locally? Why is the floor getting dropped out from under us? This is approximately 20 MA. Here, what starts to happen on the margin of 20 MA? What happens at 20 MA? Yeah? Yeah, so we start, the first piece before those rotations is as we first start the Proto San Andreas, starts at about then. About 20 MA, Proto San Andreas starts, we essentially start to rip apart the California borderland and the Salinas block. So Salinas goes north, and all these blocks start to rift off. And then as they rift, we've got this situation where we've got Salinas block, and then all these little borderland blocks, right? And they're trapped in this zone that's basically going like so, right? But the Salinas block, it first came off of the Big Bend. And so as these little pieces that were rifted off start to truck to the north, some of them start to catch the Big Bend. And then they start to rotate. But really this beginning part, when we start deepening it first, that's the breakup of the California borderland. Okay, and what we're doing is we're creating these rift basins. So we go from our forearm, we had, this whole period from about, 100 MA, or even before that, maybe as old as 150 MA, 150 MA to 30 MA, we had our forearm, right? Our forearm's done in the south by that time here. And so then we start our rift. And this is our forearm. So we start to just rift away the California borderland. And again, these are little pull aparts. It's a these rifts as we pull these off, but in these little grabens, these little protected areas between the highs, we create the Rincon and Monterey formation. And then from approximately 15 MA to modern, right, to present, that's rotating.